So today I was struggling a little bit to think of what to build because I was actually hoping to have another video done for today. Hopefully that'll happen next week. You'll see that. It's on Flatout 3. Legendarily bad. Needless to say, I needed a build real quick, and so I was thinking, why don't I just make myself a version of the Bronco? Like the new one just came out, it looks pretty cool. Why don't I just make something like that? And then I saw the 1990 People Mover here, and I remembered that it existed, and I was thinking about doing a build on that too, so here we go. Now immediately you're going to notice that this is the Wienermobile. It's supposed to be a hot dog on a bun, and then underneath it's like a GM motorhome chassis. Yeah, not great for performance, but let's make a racing version because why not? So I'm assuming that the actual like hot dog portion of this is probably made out of fiberglass, but then the bottom part is probably made out of steel, I would assume, but I'm just going to make the whole thing out of fiberglass. We'll give it a ladder chassis because it is supposed to be a motorhome. This thing is massive, and then we'll make that out of galvanized steel. High class. Longitudinal engine, coils in the front, leafs in the back. Yeah, it's not going to be a good race car. Now, I constantly make V8s, and I realize that, so I'm going to make this one an inline 6, because I feel that's probably going to be just fine for this. It doesn't need much power. That being said, this is probably going to weigh a lot, and let me try not to mess this up this time, but if I lower the stroke, I'm going to get higher RPM. That's what it is. Higher stroke is better torque. So the Wienermobile apparently has a really restrictive inside here because an inline 6 can only go up to, let me see, 2.75 liters if we're aiming for high stroke and therefore big torque, which is kind of what I'm thinking, so let's go with that. Let's go for a, you know what, our RPM is going to be super low, isn't it? Push rods. That's going to be weird. Okay, by choosing push rods, I was able to put it up to 2.85 liters. We need as much displacement as we can get in this thing. On the inside, I'm going to go ahead with cast components, and we'll come back to that. Let's just step it up a little bit right out of the gate. I don't even know how much power to anticipate with this thing. It's not going to be very much. Alright, so I was considering making it a turbo, and then I realized that this should be a 1990 engine because the Wienermobile itself is a 1990 body, and I've made everything hopefully 1990. I think I got it all. Either way, we'll come back to it in a bit if I missed it, because it appears that some of it is not. So it's going to have a carburetor. Let's give it a 4-barrel carb because this is supposed to be a race preset with a performance intake on there. That's going to be pretty decent. And we'll give it some premium super leaded fuel because why would we not? We need that leaded fuel here. There hasn't been enough of it lately. Moving on, we'll go for tubular headers. It's not exactly going to be a racing beast now, is it? And these inline 6s are super loud, but no mufflers at all. Alright, so we're currently knocking, and the pistons and conrods are dying. That's because this engine is made for the torque, and it is not made for RPM in the slightest. The max currently is 4,800, which is like barely anything, so let's turn it down. In order to fix this knocking issue, I think I'm just going to turn up the fuel mixture because I don't particularly care about how efficient this is. It's not exactly aerodynamic now, is it? So we should be okay there. I'm not liking this super low RPM limit, but I don't know, I'm going to have to tune around it. What we can do then is we can kind of drop down the cam profile a little bit, drop down the compression a little bit, and then continue to raise the fuel mixture more and more until it breaks, which it currently is. Alright, so I have tuned the Ween engine to its peak performance here at 4,700 RPM without any stresses. Everything seems to be fine, and we're at 125 horsepower, so I'm actually kind of okay with that, as surprising as that might seem. Yeah, it's not particularly powerful, and it's going to weigh a ridiculous amount, but hey, let's try it around the track just for fun. So I just noticed something I've done to myself is I've made this 4800 because I picked heavy duty cast. If you compare cast and heavy duty cast, you can see that maximum torque is a lot higher with heavy duty, but the cast itself allows for higher RPM. So just as a test, it can go up to 5400 if I just went with cast. And I think I probably should do that, just for the sake of this engine having a little bit more power. I've tuned it to be like this, but the way that I did that was basically just lowering the cam profile, so let me try and fix it. Alright, that makes me feel a little bit better right there. 145, not too bad. I'm okay with that. Let's move on. Okay, so coloring this is going to be a significant issue, but first thing I want to do is see if it has any movable joins. Oh yes it does. We're going for the extendo version. So we have reasonable and then we have extended, and yeah, it's gonna be extended. Okay, so good news, we can paint the top and the bottom separately. I just kind of picked this color randomly to make it, well, look a little bit different, but we can make it a very classy yellow, which is kind of what the actual car is. You know what? I might actually do that. I don't mind this like pastel yellow at all. And then as a secondary color, we can kind of match it with something else in that same sort of vein. Yeah, that's not quite what I'm... Oh, wow. This is gonna be a weird looking car. I mean, as if you didn't already notice that. Alright, the paint is complete. It's going to be yellow. I don't know what else to say there. It's basically just yellow. Now, in terms of trying to decorate this, I think I'm gonna have a few issues because I have no idea what's going on. I don't even know what the actual one looks like, so let me try and fake it in here. This is going to be the racing variant, and completely of my own design. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw away conventional car stereotypes, and I'm going to put a headlight right in the center of the thing. Let's get rid of that. Oh, actually, you know what? It just looks like a train if you zoom in closely. Okay, so we have our front lights there, which I actually genuinely think look pretty good. One thing that this car, well, let's try and get the engine in there so we can see what we're dealing with. Okay, so it sits right in there just like that. And it's not poking. Oh, it actually does poke out a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna have to change things around, but yeah, that actually fits in there really nicely. This thing is super narrow. Alright, all I'm gonna do for the front grille is I'm just gonna give it some like really small and narrow thing up at the front. Something like this, maybe with less on it. Just a little piece there just so it has a front grille. Now obviously because the cap is sticking out, I need to do something about that. And why do I feel that this light isn't centered? Oh, wait a minute. What's this face doing here? Okay, I've just discovered a slight issue which is going to plague me as I try and fill this space. But if you put something there, it immediately jumps up to the top. So, yeah, I'm not going to be able to cover that, unfortunately. Okay, I kind of picture this as sort of a bus, almost, like in terms of its fixtures, because I'm fairly certain that that's what it's based on. Why am I in taillights? I wanted to be in indicators, but basically I'm just going to have something like pop up here to be indicators. I'll have some stripes down the side of it, and then I'm going to need to do some work back here. Apparently there's some like, I guess that's the exhaust just hanging out the top there? Don't know why that happened. Okay, so I found these lights here. They're not quite what I was after, but I think they're going to make perfect turn signals. So I'm going to make them, well, turn signals. Oh yes, that's looking great. These kind of look like lights that are supposed to stick off the side of the car, like some kind of police car, constable style, but yeah, not in this case. This is a complete design exercise because I have no idea what I'm doing. No idea at all, as if that wasn't clear enough. Okay, what I'm going to do now is put some of these side markers on it because I feel like that's pretty important. You probably have a couple of these just going down the sides of it because of the length. That is one of those like heavier vehicle requirements. Just adds a little bit more detail to it. And then also we need some fridge door handles on there. Probably, wow, that is huge. I'm not even sure where the door would be. For the sake of argument, I'm going to put 2 sets of door handles, one set here, and then another set here. I'm imagining that these open up, like upwards though, like gull wing style, so it doesn't make a lot of sense, but here we are anyways. And then obviously this beast is going to need to be refueled, so let's put a fuel cap on there. Got a bunch of different styles, so yeah, we'll just give it that one. Interesting. Okay, so the giant thing that sticks out the back is going to need something on it as well because, well, it's just dangerously sticking up there. I need to put some smaller, these are like third brake light style, so I'm thinking, oh wow, actually these are a little bit better than I thought, but yeah, that's not quite what I was trying to do. So instead, I'll just take some more of these, shrink them down significantly, put them all the way up at the top like this is some kind of aircraft carrier. And wow, that is really not looking so good on the body there. Seems to be breaking it. Yeah, they're kind of just eating into the body, which is a little bit worrying. Please don't eat the hot dog. Okay, I've decided to forfeit that idea just because they stick out way too much. Instead, I'm just going to put them all along the bottom here like a dump truck or something. Oh yeah, my solution to the exhaust problem of that pipe kind of just sticking out the back was just to put a small pipe right here, and that seems to be doing the trick just fine. Okay, so we need a license plate for this, obviously. It's got to have something. Approved user. Now that sounds about right. Man, I'm doing this dirty. I'm not doing it well. It's just not coming out that good. I'm disappointed in myself, but I feel like the more I add, the worse it gets, and so I'm just gonna keep adding. Because this thing is so ancient, I'm just gonna go ahead and give it that like old car style. I don't know, it just seems to fit it a little bit too well. But having some of these graphics on there seems like it's gonna be cool, so that's what I'm doing. Oh goodness, I just gave it a hat and I'm not sure what I think about it. It's oh man, what am I doing? It's just getting worse. Okay, now we obviously need some massive sponsorships down the side of it because that just makes the perfect sense for racing, so that's what I'm gonna try and do here. Okay, it's really hard to put decals on this because they jump around a lot. It just does not want to stay on at all, but anyways, let me try and get a few more on here. I've just done basically the bare minimum, but yeah, we're getting there. Okay, so a lot of the stickers just look terrible, including this one, so I'm gonna get rid of it. But they should render in properly once I actually, well, render it. So I'm gonna add a couple more stickers, I think, and then maybe a wing? I don't really know. Like, this is a really easy design, but I'm hoping to spend a bit more time in Beam with it. I think that'll be the fun part of this. And obviously it needs a number of some kind, and it probably needs a country to represent. Let's make it Australia. Unfortunately, the numbers are yellow, so I'm just gonna have to make it on the window. I guess that's the only way. Alright, there we go. That is the fixtures done on that for now, until I think of something else that I need. Probably mirrors are a good touch that I didn't really think about. And but where would they even go? Like, you drive from up here. How does this even work? Okay, does this make any sense? Heck no. But it's gonna be fine. I'm just gonna put the mirrors down here. So, yeah, you just have to look down to see behind you. But this thing's pretty tall anyways, so I guess that makes sense. We're not gonna worry about wipers. Don't really need those. And I think everything else, it's a little bit colored up back here. Let me get rid of at least one of those. But yeah. Everything else is done. It just looks like it has tattoos. Okay, so I did a bit of this. It's basically just going to be an automatic rear-wheel drive. I'll make it a 5-speed because I'm being generous today. 219 seems pretty good to me. We'll adjust that when we need to. Open diffs because, well, we'll see how bad that gets. I'm going to give it radial tires and we'll give it sports compound ones just so it has at least a little bit of grip. The wheels themselves are going to stay thin. That's the thing. It's going to be hard to make this thing drive properly as is. So I don't know. I'm actually pretty happy with the wheel size as is. So we'll leave it at 10s. We'll come back to it in a bit and see if it actually needs to be made bigger or not. Okay, I'm going to go with drums. So we'll just go with regular drums all the way around. Probably going to need to increase the size of those and therefore the rims to make them bigger. Aerodynamics, we got none of that, and a little bit of brake airflow on there, just a touch. In terms of seats, it's going to be fully seated. Everything needs a seat with a standard interior, basic infotainment, nothing crazy. Okay, in terms of safety, I was trying to think about like what would be realistic for this, and let's just go with standard. Actually, you know what? It's kind of an... Oh wait, it's a 2020, hold up. There we go, I messed that up entirely. Let me just redo all that again. Alright, back into other things. We need suspension on here. It's got leaf springs on the back and coils on the front. It's basically an off-roader at this point. Let's go ahead and give it standard suspension. Twin tube, just the most basic stuff, and my goodness, that is not a good sign. Sportiness is 56.6%. Oh wow. Alright, going back through, this time with some graphs. So it says 216 is the maximum speed, and it looks like that's pretty accurate, so we'll leave it there. Wheel spin at 28.7% in mostly first and second gear. That's not too big a deal for me. I think I can just leave that as is, mostly because of the open differential. That's probably why that's happening. The wheel spin issues are definitely causing problems. The brakes are not good, as you can tell. Wow, they're incredibly weak. Let me turn that up a little bit. We gotta be able to stop now, don't we? Okay, I just switched them over to solid discs with 2 pistons, and I'm pretty satisfied with that. It should stop. Aerodynamics wise, things are looking interesting. It does actually have some downforce, which is good. Don't know why. Apparently it's an aerodynamic shape after all. And everything else here looks fine. I'm gonna fix that, but I just wanted to go through all of this first before making any drastic changes, because the wheels really need to be fixed. As of right now, it seems like the fronts are a little bit too big. Oh no, they need to be bigger. That's what the problem was. Okay, 210s on this look like monster truck wheels, so I'm not exactly fond of that. But it seems like if I just have them kind of just the same or very close to the same in width, then it's fine. So that's actually good drivability there. A significant upgrade from what it was before. And I'm going to switch to semi-slicks because that'll give us just that little bit extra wheel spin fighting power. Basically, I think the offset here, yeah, you know what, that's fine. I do want this to at least be a little bit quicker around the track. I don't know how well that's going to go. Okay, I'm shrinking up the wheels a little bit because they're kind of big. They don't need to be as big as they are. And yeah, everything is going okay. Alright, wheel spin issues are under control. Graphs are all over the place. Not really that worried about it. It's a giant flying hot dog, so it should be okay. Yeah, I just put it on a utility preset. I'm actually going to switch that to a sport preset. And just to give it a little bit more stiffness, I'll increase the damper stiffness as well. And the sway bars. Alright, that should be good just like that. The racing Ween with Go-Go Juice is ready to go. Let's try this thing out in Beam. Yeah, I've got to be honest with you, this has got to be one of the worst builds I have done ever on the channel. Probably one of the lowest effort, crappiest looking builds I have ever made and then posted here on YouTube. But hey, he looking pretty thick though. No, but more seriously, it's not good. But as you can see by those tire marks, I regret to inform you those were not caused by this drift car over here. Yeah, so the Wienermobile is actually a massive drifting machine, and by massive I mean it is incredibly small. I thought it was going to be a lot bigger than this, but with 150 horsepower, like, it actually rips. I'm surprised. So there you go, size comparison. This drift car that I made in the last video is actually longer than the Wienermobile, surprisingly. But now looking at this in comparison to that, you can see kind of what a high effort build looks like versus a low effort one, so please watch the higher effort ones instead. I mean, watch this one too, while you're here. You may have also noticed that I am currently in Pikes Peak. Yeah, this is the road version of Pikes Peak. It's the one that actually has pavement. I figure, well, why don't I try and take the Wienermobile up Pikes Peak, because, yeah, why not? I haven't done it for a while, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Let's go, Australia, number 6. Here we are. It has a weird issue that I noticed pretty early on, where if you try and reverse, like if you're reversing from a dead stop at least, occasionally it'll just get stuck in place, and I have no idea why. But either way, just look at how fast this thing accelerates when you really start going for it. It's a shame that it's only got a 4-speed auto, because it could probably be a pretty decent race car if it wasn't so top heavy. Yeah, I would say its biggest issue is that it's almost entirely uncontrollable. It does have ABS, it does have hydraulic steering, but it has no assist, and it has a little bit too much power for its body style. It's got such a short, well, I was gonna say short wheelbase, but it's a short width. Like, the thing is not very wide, so it makes it very weird to ride around some of these corners. And kind of from this angle as well, it looks like a peanut. I don't know why. But yeah, racing around Pikes Peak with this car, I don't even know what to say. It's so much faster than I thought, but it really isn't that fast. Like, I'm doing 100 and, what is this, 150, but that's wheel spin as well, so I'm really not doing very much. I was doing like 110 maybe, and then I just wrapped my Ween around a tree. Okay, attempt 2, let me try and not to wrap myself around that tree. Probably just need to drive a little bit more cautiously, because the wheel spin around some of the corners just gets completely out of control. The back end is in a completely different time zone, and it just turns super late after the actual car turns. It's just so strange. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, but I am making a video on Flatout 3. It's taken me a while to write about all the game modes because it's hurting my mind trying to play them, but I'm used to that game's handling now that I've played it for a couple hours, and I'm not used to Beam anymore. But my goodness, I don't think that's the problem. I really just think this thing is absolute garbage. Okay, we're going for a change of perspectives here, just so we can see what it's like on the front end. This might be a much louder, so I apologize in advance for that, because yeah, this engine is unmuffled and loud and proud. But there you go. It flipped again. Okay, Pikes Peak was not the track choice for this. Pikes Peak was a terrible choice on my part. Maybe I should have taken Trial Mountain on or something. That might have been better. Well, you know, it's not too late. It's probably going to take me half an hour to get up to the top of this, so I'm probably not going to do it. I'd rather spend my time, I don't even know, doing something else, anything. Okay, so if you're kind of gentle on the throttle and just don't go crazy with it, I think it can actually drive well. I'm basically just driving right now like an arcade racer. My finger is firmly planted on the throttle and the brakes are very much secondary and not really a thought. So yeah, not exactly working out for me now, is it? Alright, that corner was a little bit better, but it's mostly just because I slowed down significantly. It's a shame that the stickers have kind of fragmented a little bit, because they would have looked really good had they actually like fit on here properly. It seems that all the stickers are fragmenting lately. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe they're just not compatible with the current bodies. The bodies that I've been using have been mod bodies though, so that might be why. Well, let's go up a little bit more and then we'll go and try and do a lap of Trial Mountain, because well, it's been a while since I've been there. Since the last showcase actually, I've kind of become afraid of it. You know, I kind of realized in the last video when it hit 37 minutes that I think these automation videos are getting a little bit too long, so that's kind of what I was thinking with this one. Try and make something a little bit shorter, and I have not succeeded with that. Alright, the Ween is here to take on Trial Mountain, plastered with sponsors, and ready to just take off into the abyss. Let's test out those lights. Oh wow, they don't work that well, and the turn signals are unfortunately still front lights. Oh man. Alright, revving her up and dropping it into the drive there. Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty good takeoff. I just have to... Oh boy, hold on. Okay. That didn't quite work out how I wanted. Alright, attempt 2, I'm just going to start off without a massive burnout. That's probably for the best. And then here, I'm going to take it nice and easy. Top-heavy cars like this are extremely dangerous on the track. You know, this thing sounds pretty good for a giant hot dog. The inline 6 with one exhaust coming out of it, those headers that are on it, they sound pretty good in that combination. Now coming through here, I know that this is a pretty difficult spot, having experienced it quite a bit during my my driving in that showcase. I am using a controller, by the way. If it looks like my steering is a little bit all over the place, it's because that's just how I am. Okay, attempt 3, the side graphic is glitching out a little bit, but I'm gonna make it this time, I swear. I'd like to do at least one lap of this course. I think it's like a 2-minute lap, so that would be a pretty reasonable thing to do, I would hope. But you never know, driving something so strange, it could just be all over the place, and I mean, so far it kinda is. Okay, that was a two-wheel moment there. Almost lost it, but we're coming down to the extremely fast straight. This is going to be rough because there are quite a few bumps on here. Now the suspension is actually not that bad on this, like you can see it's soaking up a lot of the bumps. But this is a sight to behold right here. This is not something you're commonly seeing. And no jump on that bump either. The brakes are fading, not like I really care that much. We're almost done with the lap. Don't flip over now, come on. Hold your ground. You know, the track width, that's the right word I was looking for last time, is just not enough on this to be able to keep it up. Like, it's so narrow and long, it's just such a bad combo for racing and speed in general. I could have potentially widened it by making the offset bigger. I mean, I would have gotten a little bit more width out of it, but I didn't end up doing that for the sake of looks, and I deeply regret that. Well, a bit of a slow roll, but oh, you know what, we're back on our feet here, Let's go. This slightly bent hot dog is here to stay. And the end of the lap is coming up real soon, which is a good thing. Oh man, you know, I'm really looking forward to when automation has 3D fixture placement. I saw that was coming out in the new update. I'm very excited about that because I think I can make some really cool cars. Stuff that's a lot better than this. Alright, and rocketing through the line, let's see what we can do. Those are real-time reflections right there. Looking good. And across the line. How long was that? I have no idea. So I'm attempting to justify this monstrosity in my mind, and I think there are only a couple ways that I can do that. The only one I can think of is that this week has been super busy for me, and I just need to make something horrible. I don't know. I was thinking about making that Bronco like I said, but yeah, it's fine. It fits in the garage, that's all that— oh, what? It phases through the garage, that's all that matters. Okay, I've got a true test that we need to do here just before capping this video off. I want to see how long a strip of pavement I can mark with the wheels on this, if I can get it to stay upright for more than a minute. Now, one problem I do have with this is that it's automatic. I mean, I made it automatic, so I'm giving myself that problem, but it's not going to make it easy to do this one wheel peel all the way down the line like I'm trying to do, so let me give it a try. Okay, so I'm going to start in neutral, handbrake on, I'm going to drop into drive, and yeah, that didn't exactly do what I wanted. Okay, so there's one thing that's definitely true about this, and that is the front brakes are a lot stronger than the rears, so I'm going to keep it in neutral, and then I'm going to drop it into drive. We got a burnout going right now, which is good, and then I'll just let it go. Oh, that's a pretty good one right there. That was pretty good. Another idea that I had was laying out a giant dark circle like this. No, I am not trying to summon aliens, although it definitely looks like it. But this is surprisingly effective. Wow, that is that's working. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video and my attempt to make something horrible. It's definitely worked, even if I didn't fully intend for it to be this way. The grand hot dog is here, and my goodness, it leaves some pretty good burnouts when you want it to. Motorhome chassis, fiberglass top, and it's really shockingly small, but hey, that's what you get. If you enjoyed this content and you want to see more stuff like it, then please subscribe. Or if you want to see stuff that's a little bit better, I would suggest checking out my other videos, and then subscribing if you're interested in those, because yeah, I put a lot more time into those than I might have on this one. Look forward to some Flat Out 3 stuff coming up. It's going to be a video essay, full-on video essay, so get ready for that. I'm announcing it now because that'll help me be wanting to work on it. I'm actually almost done the script. I'm about half done. The parts that I need to write out are pretty minimal, and then I need to go through and edit it, so yeah, still got some stuff left to do, but I'm right there. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Thank you for watching. I just want to thank those who have chosen to support the channel, despite some of the videos maybe not being as good as they should be. We've got Overlord, That Riced-Out Explorer, QT Bear, Dr. Ivo, Terry Williams, The Most Random Person, Sick D Cars and Stuff, Boris Ramirez, Jug, Jacob. Thank you guys for your support. Appreciate all of you a lot, and the supporters as well. Thank you guys.